Manchester United have had a bid rejected for PSG superstar Manuel Ugarte. But before we get into that, please smash a like on today's video and subscribe to the channel if this is your first time watching. This story is coming out from L'Equipe, Sky Sports, and also Ben Jacobs. So we've got three different outlets all reporting this same story. The story first broke a couple of hours ago from French newspaper L'Equipe, saying that apparently Manchester United have approached PSG for CDM Manuel Ugarte. And then since then, we've had confirmation from Sky Sports, Ben Jacobs, and a couple of other journalists as well, all saying the same thing. And so this is one of the stories. It says Manchester United have made an opening offer to PSG for Manuel Ugarte, but it has been rejected. The story goes on to say that negotiations are still ongoing. Now, some of you might not actually know who this player is. We were heavily linked to him last summer. He only joined PSG 1 year ago from Sporting Lisbon. He's 23 years of age. He is a CDM, very, very good player. He was at Sporting Lisbon for a couple of seasons, did really, really well there, and has now obviously got his big money move to PSG. PSG paid 60 million euros for him last summer, which is a hell of a lot of money. My understanding is that Manchester United have tried to lowball an offer here. Apparently, he hasn't actually played that much for PSG this season. He's only played about the equivalent of 20 games across all competitions. That's including Champions League, French League, the French League Cup, etc. So he's not actually featured that much for PSG this season, which does surprise me a little bit. But I guess PSG have got loads and loads of players in the midfield position. So maybe there was better people available in that position. I don't really know. I know they've got that Danilo Pereira guy who I feel like is a little bit old. They've got Carlos Soler, Vitinha, who's obviously a very, very good midfielder. They've got that Warren Zan Emery guy. So their midfield is pretty stacked. It hasn't really worked out for Manuel Ugarte at PSG, but he is still a really, really good player. He's currently at the Copa America for Uruguay, and he's been doing quite well over there for them. He played the full 90 minutes in Uruguay's first match of the Copa America. So, he is a really, really talented player, and he is somebody that is the exact position Manchester United need. We desperately need a new CDM, and I honestly think that Manuel Ugarte would be an absolutely perfect player to fill that void we have in our midfield, because it looks like Casemiro is still going to leave the club. Saudi clubs are apparently circling for his signature at the moment. They're trying to agree personal terms with Casemiro, but it does look like Casemiro will be leaving in the coming weeks. How much money we'll get for Casemiro, I'm not entirely sure at the moment. The information I've been told is that Man United are asking for about £40 million for Casemiro, which probably is fair. 32 years of age. And the comparison that I always give is last season, Fabinho moved from Liverpool to Al Ittihad, and they paid 46 million euros, which is about £40 million. Fabinho's 1 year younger than Casemiro, plays in the same position, the same nationality, coming from the Premier League. So I think around 40 million is probably a fair price for Casemiro. Obviously, this is still considerably less than what we paid for him. We paid about £60 million to Real Madrid only 2 seasons ago. So we will still make a loss on the Casemiro transfer. But if we were to sell Casemiro for 40 million and then go and buy Manuel Ugarte for 50 million, I think that would be really, really good business. Now, Fabrizio Romano has been talking about this as well. He spoke about it a couple of months ago, obviously knowing that Manuel Ugarte obviously hasn't had the best first season at PSG because he's just not really been picked. So Manuel Ugarte has said, next season, will I still be at PSG? I hope so. I'd love to stay here, but we will have to see what's going to happen. And then Fabrizio Romano has said, PSG have no intention to accept a loan deal for Ugarte. This is the club's current stance. So there are lots and lots of people interested in Manuel Ugarte. That's the one thing that I do need to make you all aware of. So it's not by any means a one-horse race. It's going to be a very difficult deal to do. It might end up being that we have to give him big wages. Although, being honest, he's not actually earning that much at PSG at the moment. He's on about 100k a week at the moment, which is obviously a lot of money for me or you. But in the world of football, 100k a week is not that much. To give you a bit of a comparison, Casemiro currently earns 350k a week at Manchester United. So if you compare the two, you've got a 32-year-old in Casemiro who is probably past his best, earning 350k a week. Whereas you've then got Manuel Ugarte, who's on around 100k a week. So it's a no-brainer. You get rid of you get rid of Casemiro, you sell him to the Saudi League, clear his wages off the wage bill. You then use that money to reinvest and go and buy Manuel Ugarte, because he would be a really, really solid option. Somebody in the chat saying, why don't we look at a loan deal with an option to buy? I don't think PSG will do that from the information I've seen. Like, they want to either sell him or keep him, but they are interested in selling him. Now, there was a little bit of a curveball I wanted to throw into the conversation here. Obviously, we know that PSG have previously shown interest in Marcus Rashford. Is there a world where maybe PSG come in for Marcus Rashford again, and maybe we then manage to get Manuel Ugarte in some sort of swap deal? And would you do that? Would you sell Marcus Rashford to PSG? And how much do you think Marcus Rashford is worth? Let me know in the comment section. I think it's worth discussing at least, because obviously last summer, PSG were really, really interested in signing Marcus Rashford. So I imagine they're still looking for a left winger. Obviously, with Kylian Mbappe leaving, they're going to need a new left winger, and Marcus Rashford would fit that mold perfectly. So is there a world where, Marcus Rashford goes to PSG and Manuel Ugarte comes to Manchester United? That would be interesting to see. But yeah, I imagine we'd probably have to, give him probably about 150k a week, Manuel Ugarte, which I think is completely fair. I have no issue with that whatsoever. He's proven it on the international stage. He was incredible for Sporting Lisbon, so I do think he'd be a good player. But what I want you to let me know in the comment section is, do you think Manchester United should sign Manuel Ugarte? Let me know in the comment section. For me, it's 100% yes. I think it's an absolute no-brainer. He's the exact player we need in that exact position we need. It's quite difficult to get a good CDM these days. They are quite hard to come across. And I think, Manuel Ugarte is literally the perfect CDM to solve our midfield problems. He's still very young. He still has a lot of years ahead of him. He still has that resale value as well. He could come to Manchester United. He might do really, really well. And then you could see maybe like a Real Madrid coming in and buying him for more in the future. And I think that's something that Ineos have been trying to address with Manchester United. They want to bring in players who they can improve, players who are young, and that effectively in the next kind of 2 or 3 years, Manchester United can increase the players' value. Whereas if you look at all the players we've signed over the last decade, most of the players we've signed have either been past their best, or we've paid so much money for them that we're never going to be able to make a profit. Prime example of that is Anthony. Do you know what I mean? Like, we notoriously overpay for players. Jadon Sancho was another one. We paid, 72 million for him. You could even argue Rasmus Højlund. I like Rasmus Højlund a lot, but is anyone ever going to pay more than 70 million for Rasmus Højlund? Unless he becomes the best striker in the world, probably not. Whereas you could see Manchester United buying Manuel Ugarte for 50 million, right? And in 5 years, when he's 28, you could still see him being sold for 50 million, because it's not a ridiculous amount of money. So I think it's an absolute no-brainer, personally. I would really, really like to see Manuel Ugarte come to Manchester United. But obviously, it'd be interesting to see what you guys have to say about that. Obviously, as I get more information on the exact breakdown of the bid, I will let you know. But what's come out in the last couple of minutes is that PSG have rejected an offer from Manchester United for Manuel Ugarte. The story says that the bid was dismissed quickly as it wasn't close to the club's valuation. It says there are several clubs interested in signing Manuel Ugarte. So it doesn't say exactly what the amount of money was, but my understanding is that it was under 50 million, and PSG are asking for about 50 million. They want to recoup the money that they spent on him last summer, which, as I said, was 60 million euros or 50 million pounds. So Man United will effectively have to cough up 50 million pounds, otherwise they won't get their player. Now, there are obviously other options in that position. There's Amadou Onana from Everton, same style player. There is Youssouf Fofana, who plays for Monaco. Those are kind of the three main names we're linked to. Obviously, there's João Neves at Benfica, but he's going to cost you 100 million. So I think he's probably a little bit out of the price range at the moment. But in relation to the CDM position, the three players we're linked to are Manuel Ugarte of PSG, Youssouf Fofana of Monaco, and Amadou Onana of Everton. So that's kind of where we are at this point. What I will say is, I'm really excited that we're actually starting to put in bids, and we're starting to actually see deals happen. Somebody in the chat saying that apparently Manuel Ugarte has a release clause. I did not know that. Let me just verify that before I read it out. Okay, yeah, there is a release clause, £52 million apparently. So yeah, that's effectively how much we'd have to pay if we want to sign him. Chelsea tried to sign him last summer. Liverpool tried to sign him last summer. There are lots of clubs interested in this player. He is a talented footballer, and I would love to see him at Manchester United. But I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. It was just a short one to bring you this bit of breaking news. Please smash a like on the video before you go. Please subscribe to the channel if you are new. I'll be back at 6 o'clock with all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. Have a good afternoon, everybody, and I'll speak to you all at 6 p.m. UK time.